1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost a weekend and you don't know what to do. Or you just need something fun to listen to.
Southside Pod!
Yes, we're on the air. And the gang's all here, all things on the South Side. You're listening to the Southside Pod. Looking for the best Southside breweries. Or you might just need an awesome place to eat.
Southside Pod!
Mount Greenwood, Evergreen, Blue Island, Beverly, Payless, and Allsup too. You're tuned into the Southside Pod.
Southside Pod!
Oakland, Midlothian,
Southside Pod!
Oak Forest, Chicago Ridge, Flossmoor, and Bridgeview. You're listening to Southside Pod.
So we have cameras now at the 9-Foot Homemade Oak Bar.
Yeah,
We're gonna get this out of the way
Jeffrey
right now.
Dahmer's basement all of a
I
sudden.
trim my beard today.
Take some pictures, man.
It is like that.
Hardy.
It is like that. Like now people can see what
Jeffrey
we're doing.
Dahmer's
Right.
basement?
Yeah.
Man, you got dark.
You were there.
Well, just that one time,
First
for
you film them
appetizers.
before you skin them. That's basically
Right,
what
then you eat
happens. Yeah. It's like one of those reels.
Film 'em, skin 'em, eat 'em.
It's like one of those reels where the person like gets the big giant pot and says, "Watch me make the best crock pot recipe ever." But it's with people.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the secret ingredient is
Evil.
So anyway, no. So first of all, there was this massive study that came out from Cumulus Media that if you don't
like
know enough
something
about
Bill and I
radio,
didn't read
they
for
own
sure.
television stations, they own radio stations, they own the billboards when you're driving down the highway, and they did this study on podcasts. And what they basically found was that the big three right now for podcast discovery is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And it's because of the video aspect, because Spotify and Apple Podcasts will actually let you use
right,
video.
yeah.
And people love discovering things through video, and they discover them through the TikToks and the Reels and the things
TikToks.
like
how
that.
many of these podcasts have like really hot girls on them? No one wants to see us.
But then they also have those guys, like they got Tom Segura's got one.
Yeah,
And he's not hot.
No,
Yeah.
You know?
Is that
And
the guy without a shirt though?
No, that's a different guy.
that's a different guy.
It's
Totally
another,
different
it's
guy.
another fat
That's
guy.
the guy
okay.
without a shirt.
There's all kinds of fat
podcast.
comics out
Yeah.
there.
That's not what his whole bit is. Oh,
I don't
I'm
want a
like
shirt.
everyone else without a shirt.
Right.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
what
And it works.
And it works. The machine.
I figured it out. He figured it out.
So the idea is that we did a little bit of research and realized that people were responding to videos that we did. And the belief is that if we start adding stuff from down at the bar, that we would get a bigger response. And I figured, what the heck? Sounds like fun.
So you tape it all and you just hope to get some good content?
Yeah, but I'm really worried that they won't work because we sit down here for 4 or 5 hours and rattle off material, and there's already a warning that these cameras overheat at some point.
Oh.
So they'll just turn themselves off. And
I
so
think we have a firefighter.
I do the same thing.
This episode of Southside Pod and every episode of Southside Pod brought to you by Family Waterproofing Solutions, Boeing Walls, Window Wells, Foundation Crack Repairs, Sump Pumps, Gutter Cleaning, anything that has to do with keeping water out of your basement. And you heard in the ad at the beginning of the show, Express Service. It's on their website. You know what you want. You see the cost right on the website. It's right there for you. No nonsense. Order and schedule online immediately. Get quick service. Your basement's best defense is at familydry.com. I am enjoying the idea of shopping for Christmas and not having a wife to shop for. I will tell you.
It takes a lot of pressure off.
Oh my goodness. Like, first of all the emails and all the catalogs showed up for all the places that I shop for her and get the discounts and stuff every year. Like Land's End
Throw
has sent
those
me
in
so
the
many
recycle bin.
coupons.
Oh, right.
I don't have anybody to buy anything for Land's End. I was like,
What were you
we don't
buying
need
from
it.
Land's
We don't
End?
need your 70% off coupon, Land's End. She don't live here anymore. Get yourself a Pandora charm. Take your Pandora charm and shove it up your ass. Like I walked through the mall the other day to get some stuff for the kids, and I saw the line in Orland of all these men who have to get their yearly Pandora charm
I
so
thought
their
you
wife can put it
subscribed
on
to
their
the Pandora charm.
bracelet.
They keep
And I
sending you the
laughed.
catalogs, though.
I laughed. I walked right by. I was like, look at these suckers with
From what I
wives.
understand, the catalogs are really for you, though.
The Victoria's Secret
Right, they're
catalog
probably
is always
losing
for
money,
me.
actually.
But it's amazing because first of all, like it's a lot less money I have to spend. Okay, and secondly, it's the one that I always felt like the most pressure. Like she needed to have like Christmas pajamas every year. Okay, But
For
like
that one day a year.
But like, and I never like to buy her clothes. I'll be honest. I don't know what you guys are like with your wives. I don't want to buy her clothes.
Spot,
she was
man.
never going to like it. And what if I get the wrong size?
Yeah,
right?
there's nothing worse than that.
I mean,
the most I'll get is like some cute mom shirt. You know, like camping mom. Ha ha.
The amount I remember one time I bought the proper size of pajamas. Like I knew what size she was. But the style of pajamas,
the size she wanted to be,
the style of the pajamas, you had to buy them bigger to fit her. Yeah. So then the whole night on Christmas Eve, when I give her pajamas to wear that night, it was just like she was just distraught. I was like, well, Christmas is over because the damn flannel pajamas I bought were the wrong type of flannel pajamas that I bought. Like, I'm so happy I never have to deal with that again.
I'm convinced that like women's clothing companies are they exist and they mess with us just to mess with the men.
Oh, I believe that.
How many times do you say, well, I'm a size 6 in this brand, but a 10 over here? And like, no, like, what are we? Okay, right. You're a 36-30. And what brand?
The real numbers.
All of them. Right. Every single one.
Like I made that comment about Land's End. It was always like slippers, a scarf, like stuff that like it didn't matter like how it fit.
Yes.
Because I didn't want to deal with clothes. If I bought something that I thought was cute, she wasn't going to like it. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm sitting there going, well, maybe you should wear it. You get more action. But instead, you don't want to wear the thing I just bought you. Okay.
Well, you'll buy I buy like a large shirt and you get it and the thing looks like, maybe it's from China and they have like, different sizing.
It's a
you
small.
Get it and you're
it's
like,
a small.
Oh no, like I can't give this to her now. Like, I've thrown things away. Like I know, I just not doing this.
Well, then the other thing was the fact that like
clean my car with this. Yeah.
I'm constantly trying to figure out, do I have enough items? Because the worst thing on Christmas morning with your wife is if somehow there are more boxes for you.
Oh, save like 4 or 5
than there are for her.
I know, you don't put all of them out.
Like I would sit there,
you wait and see what.
Right. I would sit there with the kids and like it'd be like, all right, we're all taking a turn. We're all taking a turn. And if I thought my pile was somehow bigger than hers, I would start lying that I just opened one. Like I would try to skip myself as much as I possibly could when she wasn't paying attention. But yeah, that was always the other fear. But I don't have that problem anymore. I don't. No, I just have perfectly happy kids that are going to get some presents from their father.
and you're not getting anything.
Yeah, I don't really. Well, the kids will get me. So I got teenagers. I know they went out and got me stuff. The little guy made me something. My parents are still alive. They'll buy me something. My sister is going overboard trying to take care of her brother right now because he's going through a divorce. So I bet you I'll get lots of presents from her. Yeah. So yeah.
Did you get us anything?
I got these new cameras so that you could be on.
Oh, nice.
It's just what we asked for, Bill.
You don't get to take them home, though. You don't get to take them home.
We're going to dance later.
I bought you a bottle of vodka for Christmas. Are you kidding me?
With a shirt on it.
With a doggy shirt
Show
on
the
it.
Tito shirt to our fans.
Here's a funny thing. It referred
Is that
to
Elf
it,
on a Shelf shirt?
No, it referred to it as a dog shirt, like you would put it on. But I was like, what kind of chihuahua do you have?
This is too small for a chihuahua.
That will not fit
I don't
any
know
dog.
Who you put that on.
That wouldn't fit a cat.
Fetal.
A hamster?
I don't know what you put that on, but yeah.
Put on my.
It was a.
Lots of vodka.
Way too big.
Merry Christmas, sweetheart. I got this sweater for you, too. Why is it wearing a sweater? It's the holiday season.
I love this.
You know how long it took for me to get this thing on?
I had to finish the whole bottle of vodka to get this sweater. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's the Southside Pod.
It's the Southside Pod.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's the Southside Pod.
It's the Southside Pod.
OMG.
OMG.
It's the SSP.
It's the SSP.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's the Southside Pod.
It's the Southside Pod. Southside Pod is out at Blue Island Beer Company, and I came here because there's a book signing event for a brand new book called The Loop Files. Rick Kaempfer is sitting here with me. You're a veteran of The Loop, aren't you?
I am, yes. I worked there for 7 years in the late 80s, early 90s.
Stephen Gary producer, right?
I was Stephen Gary's producer, right.
So when you see now, and we're going to get into this book, but when you see now, like the thing with podcasting, like what we're running around doing, the fact that we're going to sit down here and have a beer at Blue Island and talk about your book, are you just like in shock at how quickly this kind of evolved, this whole medium? Because I know you've used them before. When I started in radio, I used the reel-to-reel machine to do phone calls.
Yes.
You know, I had to get those 2 giant reels and get them perfect. Before they even came out with the digital thing. So for it to get to this point, it's crazy.
razor blades, grease pencils.
You had to edit audio,
Right.
By cutting the tape,
Yeah.
and then taping it together, and you
Yes.
cut on an angle on like a little board so that the cuts matched up with
That's
each
right.
other.
That's
It was
right.
like building a bar, but you were building it with like film. It was
Right.
crazy.
Don't
yeah.
try this at home, kids.
Now you just plug and play into a podcast.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and you can also, I think, these days get something published maybe a little bit easier. What was
That's
this
true.
process like for somebody like you comes up with an idea that you want to cover what is one of those golden era of radio things, which is
Yeah.
the Loop in its heyday with the people that came through there. But I mean, to go from idea to book, what was that process like?
So, luckily I own the publishing company.
That's a plus.
That always helps. But also having worked there for all those years, I knew all these people that worked there. And I did it as an oral history because it's kind of too big of a story for one person to tell. And I didn't want to make editorial decisions based on this person was more important than that person, or this person was nice and that person was not. I wanted to have them tell their stories and put it into a chronological order. And it took me, several years to do that. And when I finally got it put together, I saw that there was a story arc. There's the Loop starts. We're all good friends. Everything's happening.
When's that? What year are we talking there?
So-
When is everybody good friends?
So for me, it was the late 80s.
Okay.
But in the book, it started in the late 70s.
Yeah.
In the late 70s, they were
They
really...
had to be getting along during the time of disco demolition, I would
Exactly.
think. I mean, for that to get pulled off and
Yeah.
everybody to still say, oh, well, look at this wonderful thing. Like, if they were not getting along, it'd have been cutthroat after that
That's
disaster.
true.
Yeah.
There were really two heydays
Yeah.
of the Loop. There was the late 70s and there was the late 80s, early 90s. I was in that second heyday.
Yeah.
The first heyday, I was a fan. I was a high school kid. I would listen to Sky Daniels and Stephen Gary and Mitch Michaels and these people, and I idolized them. I wanted to be them. It's one of the reasons I went into radio in the first place. And then to eventually become Stephen Gary's producer, that was pretty exciting for me.
Stephen Gary, I want to say, had the thing where they played at 7:30, the 7:30 song all the time.
Yeah?
It's 7:30. It's half past the hour of 7. Every time I see 7:30 on my clock, it runs through my head.
Okay, that's funny.
how much I remember Stephen Gary when you were producing them.
Yeah.
So you have the heyday, you have people getting along.
Right.
And then egos?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I think it was the inmates were running the asylum, basically.
Like
'cause
WCW wrestling.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. The bosses let them do whatever they wanted to do, which made it a great place to work. But at some point, there was no one to rein them back in once they went over the edge. And most of the shows did that at some point or another. When I was Stephen Gary's producer, we were cited by the FCC a couple of times, violations. Every show had an incident or two that happened. But by the same token, they all had bands. They would, like Jonathan Brandmeier played at Poplar Creek, sold it out. That's how big we were. Every show had their own band. Stephen Gary had Teenage Radiation. Kevin Matthews had Ed Zeppelin. Bob Stroud had a band called Rockestra. Buzz Killman had a band. We were everywhere. And also on the radio.
Who was the hardest person to get to sit down and talk?
It was Johnny B.
Johnny B.
Yes. But here's the thing.
He's the weirdest Kevin Matthews, because I've interviewed him before, and he can wander a little bit. Interesting
is.
stories, but Kevin can wander a little bit.
Kevin is an odd duck. Kevin is an odd duck. Now, I love Kevin. I when I was producing Stephen Gary, he was there every day, before. And I'll tell you a quick Kevin story.
Oh, yeah, give me a Kevin story.
Kevin found out that I spoke German. I grew up in Germany. I spoke fluent German. And so he found out that and said that I cannot appear on his show anymore unless I did it in German. And I said to him, Kevin, you don't understand German. He said, yes, I don't, but Jimmy Short speaks it fluently. And I think he really believed that.
He's still now. Like I think I talked to him a year ago.
Yeah.
And he's still now with the Jim Shorts thing. And I'm like, you really have like this like belief like in this. Like it is really kind of funny when he does that.
He tried to hire me a couple times to produce his show after the Loop years. And I always said to him, Kevin, I can't produce your show because in order to produce a show, you have to get into the head of the host. And I said, I could never in a million years get inside that head.
No, you never get out. No. And Johnny B was difficult. Was it he just wasn't ready to talk about it? Or?
He was just hard to track down because he was having medical issues. And I had to go through various different layers to get to him. But once I got him, he was fantastic. He gave me a lot of time. He was very generous. He gave me a lot of pictures that are in the book. And it was great talking to Johnny.
I feel like Dahl wants to tell stories.
So Dahl would not cooperate with us.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Now, I've interviewed him many times over the years, so there's lots of stories in
You
here.
have stuff already because you know. Right.
And Gary was great. I talked to him for a long time, but Steve didn't respond to my entreaties.
The heck? What's going on, Steve?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I mean, and he's right there on the cover too.
Yeah.
So he just, you know what the problem is that he knows how popular he is. He knows he doesn't even need to talk to you. He's going to still end up in the book.
And he's not going to make the money on this. So yeah. And he knows that I know stories too, but they're not in there, Steve. Those stories are not in this book.
Can you give me something in this book? I don't want you to give me the stuff that you just didn't want to tell people. You could tell me that when the camera's off. Okay.
Yeah.
But can you give me something in this book, kind of tease for people what they're going to read about in the Loop Files if they get an opportunity to pick it up?
All right, I'll tell you a couple quick stories that I'd never heard before. One goes back to Chicago Fest in 1980.
Okay.
The Loop had a booth on Navy Pier, and this was when Navy Pier pre-gentrification. Yeah. It was just like a dump.
Just a pier. It was just a dumpy pier. Yeah.
But they did the Chicago Fest every year, and thousands and thousands of people came. Well, the Loop had these shirts, these Loop T-shirts that were everywhere, and everybody wanted these shirts. Well, one of the guys from WMET, which was a competitor, came down and got the shirt, and he held it up in the air at the WMET booth and pulled a knife out of his boot and sliced through the shirt. But as he continued on, he put it right into his abdomen. He
stabbed himself while he was through the shirt. There's a reason why I've never heard of that radio station. It was run by idiots.
He needed a colostomy bag.
Oh, my God.
Those are here's another quick one.
Here's what's funny about this. I mean, you have Chicago radio experience, right? So, I mean, like me saying, I've been on radio before in a couple places around the country doesn't compare to where you've been, right? But I think we've all met the same. We've all met the same people.
We have, yes.
And I am not surprised in any way that there was a guy that worked for a radio station who accidentally stabbed himself cutting a shirt, because there's a lot of guys like that.
There's a certain type.
There's a certain type that does this. Yeah.
Yes, and that's us, right? Yes. So the other story was Sky Daniels, who was a big star in the late 70s. He his first day on the air, came in from Detroit, started doing his show, and like the third or fourth record, some guy came storming into the booth with a gun and said, you broke me up with my girlfriend, I'm going to kill you.
So how long had you been at the station at this point? For a while? This is like...
No, the first night there.
So is this he's mistaking him for another DJ?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
He was mistaking him for Mitch Michaels, who was on right before him. And then Sky says, oh, hang on a second. You're talking about Mitch. Let me go. You sit here and watch my record, which was Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs. You watch this record, and I'm going to run over and get Mitch fired. That's right now. I'm going to walk across the hall, and I'm going to get Mitch fired. And the guy's like, all right, with the gun, watches the record. Sky Daniels runs downstairs. We were in the Hancock building at the time.
Right.
Gets a security guy, and he goes, there's a guy upstairs with a gun. Now, Sky Daniels had hair down to his, the security guard at the bottom of the Hancock pulls a gun on Sky. So he has
It's his first night. He's had two guns pulled out.
Yes. He called the boss and he said, get me the hell out of Chicago.
Everybody in Chicago has a gun.
Yeah. But he ended up being a big star, a great guy, but he's got a ton of stories like that.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, look, you got a lot of them.
Yeah.
I can see here as I flip through the book. It is a detailed book. And where do people get this at? Anywhere?
So it is on Amazon right now, but you can also get it at eckhartspress.com. That's ECKHART.
That's your publishing company.
Yes, that's my. Yes.
Okay, we'll go to Eckhart Press then.
That's the place to get it.
Go get
yeah.
it direct from there. I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure you get a little bit more out of the book when you sell it directly.
We do.
Right.
Yes.
So I want you to get every penny you possibly can.
I appreciate
You deserve
that.
it after years and years of
Thank
working
you.
in radio.
Thank
People
you.
think that because you work in it, that like you're rich.
Yeah.
But you're not.
No, you know.
No,
You know.
you're not rich at all. That's why you're still podcasting in your
That's
40s
right.
because you didn't get rich doing radio.
Or in your 60s.
Rick, thanks so much for sitting down with me. Congrats on the book, my friend.
Cheers. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I have a confession to make. It's true, and I'm guessing you have done the same thing. Put more time into thinking about what's for dinner than preparing for your retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, I agree with you, and I want to help you out. I've got a local, experienced, down-to-earth guy who's a friend of this show. He's got a get-to-know-you approach and do the right thing values, and he's been around for over 20 years right here on the South Side. His name is Tom Walsh. He's located on the corner of 111th and Kedzie, and he's waiting for your call. In times of financial uncertainty, how can you stay on track? Call someone who's invested in your success. Reach out to Tom now, 773-779-0023, or pop in at the office right on 111th and Kedzie. Tell him we sent you. Edward Jones, Making Sense of Investing, member SIPC. This whole book is about the glory days of the Loop, the radio station.
I can't wait to read this book.
I have it. I'll give it to you.
Oh, hell yeah.
You gave it to me for free. Because here's the thing. This is why I wanted to bring this up.
What years are we talking?
This
Glory
is like
days?
80s, 90s.
Well, in the interview, he goes over the fact that it's the 70s, like the late 70s were the first set, but the real glory days are in the 80s, in the back end of the
Brandmeier?
80s. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Brandmeier and all that stuff.
70s
So-
was music, 80s was personality.
Here's my question. I remember when they were on. I was young. I was probably like, when they were in their heyday, I'm in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I mean,
I was
like,
an AM 1000 guy when I was a young kid,
Right.
which is just weird for
Yes.
a young kid to listen
And
to,
that's
but
the
that's
other
what I
thing.
was.
Old.
So that's what I want to
You
ask you
were
about.
old then.
Right?
I thought
Get
it was.
off my lawn.
I thought it was cool.
You like Wally Phillips around there. Right, Bill? Wally Phillips.
I thought it was cool that you know, they wrote the book. I think the subject matter is interesting. You know, as somebody who was on the radio like you were, Bill, like, I mean, like, it's interesting to hear about the stories.
Sure.
On the other hand, the stories that he even told in the interview, I was like, yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
Right? Because we did it, right? And you
Right.
did it. Okay.
After they did it.
Are you into the whole thing? Like, you got super excited because you never actually saw what that scene was like. Because to me, I was like, interesting topic. I wouldn't be standing in line at their book signing. Like, there were a bunch of people standing in line for the book signing today at Blue Island Beer Company. And that's no slight against the guys. They're great guys that were there. The author that wrote the book.
Who was the author as far as what was he
was
doing?
like a
He was a
producer.
producer.
I got you.
Producer.
Okay.
Really nice guy. And you know, it's what I've read so far in the book, great. Okay. But like, I think that when you've done it, you're like, all right, that's cool.
Well, sure, yeah.
Mike was like super excited. You saw his reaction. He's like, oh my God, I can't wait to read this book. Like, he's super excited.
To us, it's
about it.
interesting just because you're using the stories you have to get yourself and comparing it to what happened there, and or relating things that you might have even heard and hearing their side, and to people that didn't work in the industry, maybe it's all new. I don't know.
I guess so. I mean, now I don't even know. Here's the funny thing: there won't be stories like that again. Because radio is
radio's
really
boring.
whitewashed and boring.
Sure,
now.
right.
Boring.
And podcasting is so out there. It'd be like, remember when they said such and such on such and such podcast?
Right.
You'd be like, I never heard of that podcast.
Right.
It'll
It's
never-
like us
it'll
reading a
never
book
be like
on bad podcasting. Like, no, we lived it.
that. We lived it. We did bad
We wrote
podcasting.
the book.
Yeah. We literally are the pioneers of bad podcasting.
We did bad podcasting.
There it is. Right there. There's the
And
bad
cut.
Podcasting, everybody.
Chapter 2. Enter acoustic mic.
It's now time for your Southside Pod Bulletin Board, brought to you proudly by Spoke and Vine Wine Bar and Bottle Shop, northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie in Evergreen Park. If you're looking for a last-minute gift, I know they've just started up a wine club. They do wine tastings. They sell bottles of wine, and you can taste them beforehand at their big, beautiful wine bar or in a lounge seat or over at one of the high tables or have some dinner. They got great small plates. See more at SpokenVineWines.com. If you're looking for something to do this weekend before you go and see the family, Friday the 22nd at Blue Island Beer Company, a Charlie Brown Christmas Live is going to be there. There's actually going to be musicians playing all the songs from a Charlie Brown Christmas while you drink beers at Blue Island Beer Company. Great idea. You might see me there. Also on Friday the 22nd at 7:30 p.m. in Blue Island, the Lyric Theater is having Big Band Christmas. A 17-piece band, the Calumet Ridge Jazz Ensemble, is taking the stage to perform holiday classics. Doors at 6:30, show at 7:30. Get more online at the Lyric Theater. Dueling Pianos are going to be at 115 Bourbon Street in Marionette Park as Howl to Go shows up there. $20 show, again Friday night, 7 p.m. start. On Saturday the 23rd, a very grateful Christmas shake and bake special at Hart's Saloon. The way it works is they're going to be doing all kinds of Christmas music, but in between of every song, there'll be a Grateful Dead or Jerry Garcia band song. I don't know how that works, but if you're into the Dead, 9858 South Artesian Avenue. Also on Saturday night, the 23rd, 9 p.m. start goes to 1 in the morning, Motley 2, Christmas at the Thirsty Beaver. I expect it to be exactly what you think it is. A Motley Crue cover band at a bar named the Thirsty Beaver in Crestwood, and they're probably wearing Santa hats and nothing else. Don't shudder, it's just a podcast. And a look ahead is brought to you by SidSauce.net. You still have time. Get those stockings stuffed with delicious hot sauces from SidSauce.net. I'm doing that over here. They have so many different varieties out there. The peppers grown on the South Side, bottled here, and in a lot of the Southside Pod listening area, you get free delivery to your door. On New Year's Day, it's the Resolution Run 6K race, Volmer Trail. Kicks off at 11 a.m. and you can get $5 off your entry fee using the code NEWYEAR24. Go to runsignup.com and search the event. Whatever you're doing this weekend, have a Merry Christmas. Stay safe. Remember, it's all about the kids. And what? What's your problem?
Hey, why do you have Jesus in your front yard? My daughter, who we've talked about,
I have a nativity set.
She's all about Jesus.
Yeah, I have a nativity set.
But
Jesus
she
should
gets
not be
mad.
in there yet. He's not there
Not
yet.
his birthday yet.
Yep.
No. Here's the thing.
He should not be
in the
there yet.
actual nativity set in the living room, like the big fancy one. Which I get a figurine every year from
The
my
one
mother.
that gets blessed every year.
That one, Jesus doesn't show up until Christmas morning.
Where's he at right now? In the drawer? Jesus is in a drawer somewhere?
Santa brings him. Okay.
Oh, he does?
Santa brings him.
Wait, hold on.
I don't think
this
that's-
is crossing a lot of lines here.
Yeah. Santa brings the baby Jesus. Puts him in the manger.
That's not historically accurate.
I don't care. I don't care. Okay? I really don't care if it's historically accurate to you.
But
Okay?
in your
there wasn't any
household-
such thing as an elf on a shelf 15 years ago, so I don't really care about your
But
historical
we're
accuracy.
talking about...
Plus, Jesus was born in like April, so
Is that really a real thing in your family? Santa brings the baby Jesus?
Santa brings baby Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
brings-
messed
this is
up.
the first
Santa
time I've
brings
ever
baby
heard
really
this.
messed
Yeah,
up.
he drops off baby Jesus as part of the things he does.
Wow.
Yeah, there's
Like,
the baby Jesus.
He's just like, on
Hey.
Dasher, on Dancer.
He's
baby
not,
Jesus?
Baby Jesus isn't in the front.
Yeah, with
leading
the red
team.
nose?
No, he's not. It's not.
He's in the sack with the rest of
Not
the
what
gifts.
baby Jesus is doing. He just puts the baby Jesus there. That's what he does. Santa comes in, puts the baby Jesus there. Okay? I don't
He
understand
drops
why
off
this is
a
a big
lot of
problem.
baby Jesuses.
That's
that
so
night.
weird.
It
That's
is
really
extremely-
strange.
If he can keep track of where every toy goes for every girl and boy, he can keep track of the baby Jesus.
He's got people for that.
Okay? I'm sure he's got a whole crew of elves
Pretty
that are
sure
assigned
he's
to baby
using
Jesus.
Amazon Web Services for that.
Okay?
It's the Southside! It's the Southside! It's the Southside Pod! Thanks for listening! Thanks for tuning in to the Southside Pod! Y'all come back now, you hear?
And so anytime,
Wait, hold on.
anytime we talk
Hold
about
on.
that,
Stop.
Hold on a second.
Stop.
The story is...
Hold on. There we go. Let's back the train up here. I'm gonna recap the listeners here.
Yeah, okay.
So we're talking about how Danny Bonaducci,
they
Partridge Family radio guy,
Right.
blah
Yeah,
blah blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
So he was talking about how he sat next to his wife at one point.
I think they're not married anymore. Yeah, Gretchen.
That has nothing to do with the story.
Okay.
We're gonna get to the
Nobody
good part.
cares if her name is Gretchen either. Yeah.
But he goes, the reason I know it was his wife because my mom once photographed them at a JCPenney studio and correct me if I'm wrong, but you said, and she kept one of the photos.
They put it up as one of the.
You said she kept it.
Yeah, she did, and they put it up
like
in
she
the
was
studio.
Robin Williams in 1 hour photo.
No.
Now I get where your obsession comes
Right.
from. Your whole family's weird.
How many families
They put it up
did
in the
your
studio.
mom take one photo and just keep? Or was it just because it was Danny Bonaducci?
They put it up in the studio as one of the sample photos for the studio.
Okay.
She made multiple copies, and then she put Mike's face over Danny Bonaducci's. One day you'll be a Bonaducci too, Mike.